Welcome to a special edition of KSAT News Now. We are gearing up for a big weekend in Springfield, Massachusetts. It's the Basketball Hall of Fame induction.
All right, a huge weekend here, David, especially for Spurs Nation, Spurs fans, and the entire organization. Tony Parker, Greg Popovich, Becky Hammon will all be going into the Hall of Fame this year. KSAT 12 will be covering all of the Hall of Fame weekend, the action. Our very own Larry Ramirez is there right now. Larry, how are things looking out there as we get set for a big Saturday night?
You know what, it's pretty cool. So we were up in Springfield, Massachusetts yesterday, and actually this morning, because that's where we're staying, and that's where the Hall of Fame is. Right now we're coming to you from the Mohegan Sun in Connecticut, and they're going to have a press conference later this afternoon at 2 p.m. local time with this year's players and coaches that are part of the 2023 Hall of Fame class at 11 o'clock our time. So happening right now somewhere on the property is an enshrinement 2023 autograph session. I really haven't had a chance to walk around the Mohegan Sun that much, but if you can see behind me, I'll step out of the way for just a second. I mean, it is beautiful in here. There's a little pond pool behind me. To me, it kind of looks like a little bit of an infinity pool, just the way the water is running over the edge. There's a handful of coins in there, so some people have made some wishes. I don't know if they tell you not to make wishes, because usually these type of things have a lot more coins in them. But it's really pretty inside, and I'll tell you what, this place has my name written all over it. I might have to come back here and take a vacation someday.
So you've enjoyed this beautiful facility where a lot of the activities are going on. I know you got a chance to actually go into the Hall of Fame, at least the lobby. What was it like when you walked into the Hall of Fame knowing some of the greatest basketball players, men, women, and coaches are now enshrined in that building?
Yeah, you know, it's mind-blowing. I've had a chance to go inside the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I've also been inside of the Hockey Hall of Fame in Toronto. I've been into the NASCAR Hall of Fame in Daytona, and the one that's in Charlotte, North Carolina. And the basketball one, it's just as special as all of them. I mean, being a huge sports fan, it's just cool to walk around the lobby and all of a sudden there's David Robinson's area set up with the basketball where he became the Spurs all-time leading scorer. There's some video playing that shows some of his blocks and dunks when he was playing inside the Alamo Dome. It's pretty cool. I mean, we even saw a video of Photok Mark Mendez sitting on the baseline shooting. So that was pretty cool to see all those guys down there.
Yeah.
And so Mark Mendez is in the Hall of Fame.
I'll tell you.
We knew he'd get in there
Mark
somehow.
Mendez is in the Hall of Fame. Absolutely. I mean, how awesome is that? Yeah, and you know what, and it's what's cool also, at least outside in the lobby, is they have footprints of all the Hall of Fame players. You walk around, and some of the guys, like, Kobe surprised me. I think his shoe was a size 12 or 13. Wow. Okay, cool. But then you walk over to Shaq, and they have Shaq's footprint on the ground, and I believe it's a size 23 or 24. Wow. And I put my size 10 and a half, 11 on it, and it looked like a little baby foot on top of it. So that was really cool for me going around seeing the shoe sizes of some of these Hall of Famers.
That's pretty incredible stuff, Larry. Now, of course, you guys, you mentioned Mark being in the Hall of Fame. He's never going to let us live that one down there. But you guys, Larry, David, you guys have covered the Spurs for so many years, so many championship runs. And obviously, Greg Popovich, R.C. Buford, kind of the architects of this whole deal. Larry, what do you think is going to be going through Pop's mind? I know that's a tough thing to kind of anticipate, but what can possibly be going through Pop's mind finally going into the Hall and having the big three with him, and guys like you mentioned, David Robinson, and just to consider what they've built here in San Antonio?
Yeah, that is a very interesting question, and I really wish I can get inside Pop's mind and come up with that answer. But I mean, me personally, this is the way I look at it. So he says that he's a D3 guy, Division III. He's not a Hall of Fame guy. Pop is very, very humble when it comes to this type of stuff. I would have to think this is special for him to go into the Hall of Fame. But I think what makes it more special for him is the fact that Tim, Tony, Manu, David are in the Hall of Fame. Tony this year, of course, because that's what he's all about. He's all about his players. He's all about his coaching staff. You know, I bet right now he is more thrilled and excited that Becky is going in and that Tony is going in. But you just have to imagine, as the father figure that he's become for some of his players, this has to be such an awesome moment for him to see Tim there tomorrow night at the enshrinement, to see David Robinson there, to see Manu Ginobili there, to see Tony Parker there. You know, those guys are going to help induct him, so to speak. So to have the big three and 5-0 there, oh my gosh, that's got to be the most thrilling part. You know, probably like a parent watching their kids open their presents on Christmas, right? I mean, that's kind of the way I feel like that this is going to be for Pop.
I read where after he had won several championships and he went back to the Air Force Academy and received an award there, that he said that was the most special award that he'd ever been given, and that was even after some championships. But you can only imagine what this is going to be like. And over the years, we've seen these guys grow. And, you know, a lot of times, we were talking about this on KSAT News at 9, you know, San Antonio was never supposed to win championships. They're a small market team, and they weren't supposed to be up there with all the big Bostons and New Yorks and Phillies and LAs. You know, they were supposed to just, you know, make it and have a little fun in San Antonio. But here we are, inducting 3 more members of this organization into the Hall of Fame. I think that's just such an incredible and proud feat for this community to have more people in that Hall of Fame from the organization here in San Antonio.
Yeah, that's absolutely special. And I'll tell you what, it's kind of cool because, you know, the Lakers, the Bulls, the Knicks, they're kind of like the big brothers of the NBA, right, all these years. And a lot of the other teams like the Pacers, the Spurs, some of the smaller markets, they're seen as the little brother. So I've always got a kick out of it whenever the Spurs, and this is before I even moved to San Antonio in 2004, when the Spurs were knocking off all the big dogs in the NBA. That was kind of cool, and it reminded me of little brother beating up big brother, you know, once in a while and knocking him around. So yeah, I think it's awesome that the San Antonio Spurs organization has so many Hall of Famers. You know, it's kind of like, you know, I don't want to say anything wrong that's going to get me in trouble, but it's kind of like, you know what? I don't even know how to say it politically correct, so I'm not, but it's just kind of like, you know what, NBA, listen, we're San Antonio, we're here to stay, baby, and we're going to do good things. You all know me, you probably know what I'm trying to say. I just can't figure out how to say it nicely.
Yes, this organization has absolutely earned the respect here,
Yeah, it's a certain finger that you can use, I guess. That's kind of what I think the Spurs have said to the NBA.
I like that.
And you know, when you talk about it, though, but look at the class acts from San Antonio that are in the NBA. I mean, you go all the way back to George Gervin and David Robinson and Tim. I mean, can you find any better individuals off the court as well as on the court? And what a great way to be representative if you're a member of the San Antonio community. I mean, you can't ask for any better representation in the Basketball Hall of Fame than what is in there and what is going to be in there starting tomorrow night.
Yeah, definitely. Larry, wanted to speak to you about Tony Parker. Obviously, we're talking about kind of this little brother mentality. You said you got here around the time that TP was really kind of learning the ropes and really, you know, in the doghouse every now and then with Coach Pop. I think this has to be special for Tony Parker, being the youngest one out of the guys, and again, being the one that kind of took the most from Greg Popovich, being the point guard, the leader. And I'm just excited to see what TP thinks. What do you think of all Tony Parker going in, Larry?
You know, it's very deserving, and yeah, if any of the big three probably deserve it the most from a getting verbally beat up by Coach Pop, he's definitely the one. And because we've all heard the stories over the years about how Pop was just so hard on him. I mean, he was hard on Manu and Tim too. I mean, Pop just calls it like he sees it, but yeah, he was just so hard on Tony. And here's kind of what I find poetic now about all this, okay? So Tony Parker is the first teenager to ever play in a game for the San Antonio Spurs. Now it seems like that's all they play as teenagers. I mean, they had 3 of them. You know, they drafted 3 of them recently. I think they're now 20, 21, like Blake Wesley and those guys. But now they got Sidi Sissoko, Victor Wembanyama. I think, they're both 19 years old. So Tony really opened the door for the San Antonio Spurs when it comes to teenagers playing. Now it's like, if you're not a teenager, what are you doing in the Spurs lineup, right?
But and you know what, Larry, that's what made the Spurs organization so special. Pop, I mean, we can remember I don't know how many times, dozens of times, he would yell at Tim Duncan. And of course, Tim would kind of like blow him off and just go sit out on the bench. But Pop was sending a message to the rest of the team, and I think that's what made this team so special for those 22 years that they were in the playoffs. Was Tim would take that from Pop as an example. Hey, I'm going to yell at Tim Duncan, and so you know I'm going to yell at you. So just take it, and that's what made that culture so impressive is the way that Pop was able to treat these guys. And they moved guys in and out of here, but the big three stayed together. And that's just, and for them to go in together, I think is just absolutely fantastic for at least all three of them to now. It's going to be fun to see how they line those three up when they get in that Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and you know what, guys? And you know what? And to me, that just speaks volumes about Tim Duncan, right? One of the greatest ever, a Hall of Famer. And he didn't care if Pop chewed him out in front of his teammates. But there are a lot of Hall of Famers, and there were even some guys who are not Hall of Fame players who might have been the star player on the team. They would not allow the coach to yell at him. Like, they basically ran the team. That just says so much about Timmy that, yeah, okay, you know what? Yeah, go ahead, Pop, and yell at me for the betterment of the team. I get it. And he took it, and the rest of the team saw it, and they loved it and thrived on it. And, and 5 championships later, here we are.
Yeah, that is incredible stuff. Also incredible, Larry, Becky Hammon going in. She is obviously a pioneer, a trailblazer for women's sports, breaking ceilings, becoming the first full-time female assistant in the NBA. So you mentioned earlier, Larry, that Pop, obviously probably ecstatic for Becky to go in. Just speak a little bit about Becky Hammon as part of the San Antonio Stars, the Spurs coaches. Now she's getting into the Hall of Fame as well.
It's awesome that she's going in as a player, and I think somewhere down the line she's going to go in as a head coach also, because look at what she's already accomplished, getting hired by the Spurs as an assistant coach, moving up to the front row, sitting right next to Pop. Now she's leading the Aces in the WNBA, won a championship in her first season. She's going to be a Hall of Fame coach one day as well. But when it comes to a player, I mean, Becky is an amazing person, and she's an amazing basketball player. And her whole entire life, she's been trying to prove those people that say, Becky, you can't do this, she's trying to prove them wrong. And so far, she has every step of the way. And, one of my best memories of Becky is when the Cowboys were coming to San Antonio and practicing inside the Alamo Dome for training camp for a little while. And she was there, and I believe we did a segment with her on Instant Replay where we were playing catch with her. And I'll tell you what, Becky Hammon has quite the arm, man. She was throwing that football a good 30, 40 yards, really without even thinking about it. So Becky's always been gracious, with the media. She's always been very cool. She'll walk by us at the AT&T Center and say, hey, guys. Becky is not only a Hall of Famer to me as far as a basketball player, but she's a Hall of Fame person, too. She's pretty darn cool.
Another one off the court that represents San Antonio so well. All right, Larry, we're going to let you go because I know I think in about an hour or so there's a press conference with all these future Hall of Famers. Not in there yet, but very, very close. So thanks for joining us, and thanks for all the insights. And once again, congratulations to Tony, Pop, and Becky, Hall of Famers from San Antonio.
Incredible.
Gotta love it. Thanks, Larry.
And congratulations to Mark Mendez. Don't forget, he's a Hall of Famer, too.
Oh, we need to see that. I don't know if there's a way you could get a picture of that, or maybe just
please.
a small. Yeah, Mark's never going to let us live that down.
If we go back there, I'll see if I can get a screen grab of it with my phone or something.
Next thing you know, he's going to want a plaque in there somewhere. Oh.
We don't need that. We don't need money.
Thanks, Larry. Have fun. We'll look forward to
You're welcome, guys.
At 5 o'clock this evening. All right.
All right, appreciate it. Talk to y'all soon.
Mark Mendez.